Come on, Indian, do it better. What's going on, YouTube? 65 Rider here, coming back to you with another mini video, mini update. You guys can see, got the Roglad here. No Indian though, it's usually parked right over there. Unfortunately, the Indian left me stranded today. I went to get a haircut, came out, tried to start it, and absolutely nothing. That sucks. If you have an Indian, you're probably aware of this issue. The battery goes bad after about a year or so, which is super unfortunate for a $14,000 bike. Anyway, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and have my lovely wife drive me to where I left the bike and try to use this guy to jump it and bring it home. So come along, come with me, and let's go and try to get this bike home. All right, see you guys in a sec. Alright, so we're on the way to where I parked the bike today. I've actually heard of this happening a bunch of times with a lot of people on the FTR 1200 Facebook page, where a lot of people were complaining about the battery and running out and not, leaving them stranded and stuff. I always thought that I was one of the lucky ones because I never ran into that issue before with my bike. And, it's a 2022. I bought it in 2023. I've had it for about a year now. I keep it on the tender whenever I'm not riding it for more than 3-4 days. So I don't know, it's weird. I've heard people having issues with the bike starting in cold weather, but I live in Florida and it wasn't cold at all today. We're almost there. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna show you guys how to use that NOCO jump starter. And but what's also pretty annoying, which I'll show you guys in a bit here also, is the fact that you have to have tools to get to the battery. So you can't just be like, ask somebody on the street or whatever to help you jump start the bike, because you need tools to get to the battery, which is really annoying. I've kind of been considering trading in that bike, so this is kind of pushing me in that direction. But let's see what happens. All right, I'll see you guys there. Here we are. So let's see how this thing goes. So basically there's 3 bolts, there's this one, and then these 2 right here. And apparently this strips out really easily, so gotta be careful here. All right, let's see how this works. Here's the cover. See, here's the negative, here's your positive, and there's your battery. So I've never actually used this NOCO boost before. I'll link it in the video below if it actually works. Hopefully it does. From my understanding is that you plug it this way, all the way in. Then you have your negative and your positive, okay? And then you put them on the terminals. I believe you go negative first and then positive after. All right, so I'm running into an issue here where the clips are smaller than the terminal screws, so I have to keep actually holding them. Okay, babe? Yeah. Go ahead and do it. Turn it on first. Okay, try to start it.
Should I press this?
Yeah, put it down. Press it once and then click it. Yeah? Sure. Yeah, and then hit the button. That worked. Nice. Thanks, babe. Again, this I wanted to take you guys along with me on this little adventure, just because I wanted to, be real with you guys and showcase everything about this bike. And apparently this is a common issue. I'm not the first person where this would happen to. The stock batteries seem to fail consistently on these bikes. And that sucks, man, when you pay this much money for such a quality motorcycle and then you get, crap parts for it. Come on, Indian, do better. Yeah, it's been a well-known, well-documented issue, and a lot of people recommended that I go for a Noco NLP 14, I guess, or something like that, as far as my next battery goes. So that's probably what I'm gonna do, because I don't trust this battery now. I'm gonna take it home, plug it on the tender, and just see how she feels. But I think it's probably time to get a new battery. I'll also put a link in the description below for the jump starter that I used. I usually have that on my Harley 24/7 because I have storage. But unfortunately on this bike I do not. And yeah, and so that was one of the things that I listed that I don't like about this bike is the lack of storage, basically. There's no room to put in my registration, dude. Let alone any tools, to be honest. But let's be serious, that's a pretty fun bike. When I was talking about maybe replacing this bike a little earlier when I was in the car, I don't know yet. I don't know if this is like serious thoughts or just intrusive thoughts coming in, but lately I've been eyeing the MT10, my man. The MT10, not the SP. I was eyeing the SP, but it's really expensive. And it's kind of hard to get a good deal on it, and I don't think you actually need all those extra features that it has for the type of riding that I do. But just the regular MT10, dude, one thing is I don't love the way it looks. It has that little Transformers look, but everything else seems to be like on par with the type of riding that I do, especially living down here in South Florida. For example, a lot of straightaways, a lot of highway rides, and apparently the smoothness of the MT10 is pretty much unmatched. So smooth would be nice, honestly, dude. This little V-twin vibrates like crazy, dude. And especially, like, forget about getting on the highway for a while, because once you're on the highway, the bike starts playing around a little bit, bro. Especially with the wind and everything. It's not very confidence inspiring, to be honest. And so one thing that I have consistently heard about the MT10 is how smooth that bike is and how it delivers its power. It's got a decent amount of torque, not as much as the FTR, obviously, but decent enough to get you in trouble. And then, like, once you get into the triple digits, you get there smoothly. Unfortunately, with this one, you get at least the rally, specifically with the bigger wheels and the knobby tires. Once I hit that triple digit mark, I'm usually just kind of scared for my life, to be honest. And so I'm not saying that this is something that's definite, but definitely something that I'm considering. Also, the fact that it comes stock with a quick shifter, bro. That would be really cool to have. I've never tried a quick shifter before, but I've never tried riding an MT10 before, but I did try an XSR 900, which was pretty fun. I don't know how comparable that is to an MT10. Probably not much. I think I rode an MT09 before, maybe on a demo day, but that's, I think, what I'm going to do next is probably either wait for a demo day or see if I can ride to a dealership that would offer me a test ride and just see how it goes, and see how I like it. But then the other thing I'd have to consider also is like what kind of trade-in I'd be getting for this bike right here, which probably not much. Hey, we made it home, baby! Special shout out to the missus for driving me. Yeah, now it says 14.1, of course. Probably need to plug it in. The battery is getting drained for some reason. If I try to start it again, I don't even know if it'll start right now. I won't throw it in the tender, so we'll see. 12.5. But look at that, it went all the way down to 10 and now it's back to 13, 14. So yeah, definitely time for a new battery. God, that sucks, dude. Bike doesn't even have 1,300 miles on it. Really sucks. Like, I don't know if you can see here, but I got the tender already running to the Road Glide because fucking A, lesson learned. And I guess I'm gonna do that the same to the Indian. We'll go ahead and plug it in here shortly. Anyway, this was just wanted to make a quick video about this experience with this bike, and let me know your thoughts, you guys, if this is something that you've experienced before on your FTR, and let me know in the comments what battery I should get for my bike. All right, I'll see y'all on the next one, homies. Be safe, and you know, it's almost New Year, so Happy New Year. Later.